Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SAP SuccessFactors 1/8/2026 reporting release update. My name is Tim Castle with Veritas Prime, and we've prepared this architectural blueprint to help you modernize your reporting landscape with the latest release. Before we dive in, please remember that if you have questions about how these changes impact your specific instance, our team at Veritas Prime is here to help, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. First up, we have a major win for your reporting admins. You can now export directly in Query Designer to a CSV or Excel format, and those exports include your calculated columns. So you no longer have to back out to the story level, add your data into a table just to be able to export it. You can do that directly from the Query Designer now. Following up on that, we have another improvement to the data export in Query Designer. So in that same menu where you can export to Excel and CSV, you'll now see the option for export settings. Within that, you'll have the ability to order your columns or sort your columns ascending or descending. So again, this is going to allow your report admins to be able to format their data directly in the Query Designer, which will allow them to be able to quickly export it and audit it and make sure it's pulling in the data that they want before having to go back up to the story level just to validate the data. There's also another enhancement that we'll mention later on where these column orders and column sorting will come in real handy. The next enhancement is actually already live in production as of January, and that's going to be the ability to export while respecting your dynamic date range filters. Previously, you had to manually select your dates before export, and now the dynamic date range will be respected when you export the data. This next enhancement is the final improvement to the data export options, and it's a big one. It is the ability for end users to be able to export the data source directly. So if someone is not a report admin, let's just say they have a report shared with them, they can actually export the data source themselves. So the backend data from the data query directly. So this is going to be a huge win for your report administrators. Now, people that are viewing the report, if they have questions on some of the backend data or maybe what it contains, they can get at that directly without having to ping one of your report admins and ask questions or say, hey, can you export this for me, or can you tell me how this report is made? It does respect your RBP security, and so end users won't be able to see anything that they are not privy to see. This next feature is regarding the auto-joined tables being available as filters now in story reports. So you might know that previously, if you're building out a story report, you'll see a list of data that's available, and they're actually coming in from other tables that are not connected yet in your story. They can display in your export query, they can display in the story itself, but you have not been able to filter on those unless you manually connect to the table they are coming from. So now with this new enhancement, that is no longer an issue. You can filter directly on them from the first table now. And what that's going to really help with, aside from just making it so much easier to create story reports and apply these filters, it's actually going to reduce the amount of tables in your report. So the speed and efficiency of the reports themselves are going to drastically improve. This is also great for a more intuitive experience. If people go in there and they see the data is available, they see it appearing in their query, but for some reason they don't see it in the filter, that can be a very confusing point. So now that is just a much more pleasant user experience that's really going to help your report administrators out. This next feature is regarding the updated default limits for self-joins and nested if guardrails in story reports. Previously, self-joins were limited to only having 12, and nested if statements were limited to 36. Those have both been expanded, so self-joins you can now have up to 30, and nested if statements you can have up to 85. Both of those do have a soft warning. With self-joins, you'll get that soft warning once you hit 5 self-joins, and with nested if statements, that will occur at 12. Nested calculated columns, any warnings and limitations are currently disabled on that, and we'll let you know if we hear anything about those being brought back in a future release or an update. The big thing with this is now we recommend with these expanded limits that you really kind of look at some of your smaller reports and see if they still make sense or if they should be combined into more of a master story report that accomplishes several things. And this slide just focuses on the guardrails specifically for story reports. And again, those soft warnings that will appear in real time as you kind of hit that limit. It's going to be great feedback. You'll see instantly that you have reached the limit, or pardon me, not a limit, but actually a soft warning. And then you can kind of rethink from there. You know, if maybe you only have one additional self-join, then maybe you continue down the path you're on. But if you know you have another, 15 or 20 coming, then maybe it's time to rethink how you're building that story report. Same with the nested if statements. We can go up to 85 now. And we do recommend that if you are looking to build out that complicated of a nested if statement, perhaps you consult with us and we can direct you on building out a custom MDF object that acts as more of a table reference in place of that very robust and very bandwidth heavy nested if statement. This new feature is a update to story reporting, and it's going to be the ability to now report directly on Canvas report usage. So now you'll be able to create a report that tells you which Canvas reports are being heavily utilized versus underutilized or maybe not used at all. We recommend using this new feature to report on which Canvas reports perhaps need to be converted over to story reporting first and begin sort of a prioritization list to start converting those. Another improvement to story reporting is going to be the ability to report directly from legal entity to location group. You no longer will have to go through the location table to do so, which is a huge win. And they have also fixed a join between job information and employee payroll run results. It was previously joined incorrectly, and now it has been correctly has been fixed, and that is now correctly joined by the user ID. This next enhancement is going to be a huge win for audit reporting, and it is the last modified source. So last modified source reporting now available in the story reports. It's going to be available on the employment table, the compensation table, and the person table, those schemas. And just like last modified by and last modified on, this is now going to give you the last modified source. So whether it was an API or a data import, you'll be able to report on that to clearly see what caused that change on the employee record. We recommend using this to build a data integrity story. that you can use to flag updates to kind of, again, quickly see what was made by an API change or a mass import change. This next one is primarily going to be for your compensation reporting and your comp admins, and it is that they have added the sequence number to the compensation recurring table. So now you can report on the sequence number, just like it's available in several other tables. This is going to help you be able to pinpoint exact data transactions, especially the ones that occur on the same date. And now you'll be able to see in which order they were created in. Next is a enhancement for clock in and clock out reporting. So if you utilize clock in and clock out with SuccessFactors, you now have the ability to report on geofence data. This is going to be a huge win in helping you understand exactly what physical location the punch in, punch out occurred. And it can be used to track things to make sure people are punching correctly and honestly, make sure that we're not doing any buddy punching or fraudulent time punches within the time system. Next, we're going to see some enhancements made to the continuous performance management reporting abilities within report stores. So now you can report on discussion topics and meeting notes from continuous performance, as well as the ability to do that for both active and inactive employees. So a great example, if you want to capture one-on-one discussions which occurred for now terminated employees, you'll be able to do that. So we think that's going to be a huge asset when it comes to turnover analysis and being able to pull up some of that data for inactive employees. Next are some enhancements to the Report Center landing page. Some are cosmetic, but others have actual functionality. The ability to do bulk export as well as bulk delete is going to be a huge win, and the ability to do mass label changes is also going to be very helpful. We recommend using bulk labeling to organize your report center, and then actually train your users to look for specific labels instead of just scrolling through Report Center looking for a report itself. And the bulk labeling tool, I think, is going to really be beneficial in helping with that process. Next, we have a improvement which is primarily going to affect Canvas reporting, and that is the ability for you to now be able to delete jobs directly in the job scheduler, in the My Jobs page of Job Scheduler. So if you have a ton of old reports out there that are just clogging up your scheduler, you can go in now and delete them. And we recommend, if able, to assign an admin to go in and regularly clear out either stuck or obsolete Canvas schedule reports. This is just going to keep the background queue nice and clean, as well as improve your overall system performance. Finally, we have a new design time and runtime warning for table reports. So table reports that may extract excessively large data sets, this is now going to trigger. And if you consistently see these alerts, it's a sign that it might be time to sunset those heavy data dumps and look to maybe rebuild them as a report story or within the integration center to improve efficiency. This concludes our reporting release highlights for 1/8/2026. There are a lot of potential with these updates to drive better business insights. And as a reminder for you all, If you have any questions or need a hand with any of these enhancements or help with any implementation, please reach out to us. We're here to help you with your overall reporting strategy and keep you ahead of the curve. Thank you for your time.